To solve the next problem, we need to use the formula for distance, rate, and time, which is distance equals rate times time, or the product of rate and time will always give us distance. Let's look at the problem. Two private jets start from Chicago and travel in opposite directions. The speed of the first jet is 10 less than 2 times the speed of the second jet. In 3 hours, they're 1,050 miles apart. Find the speed of each jet. Okay, again, like all the word problems we've been working, there's a lot of information in this problem. We may have to read it a couple of times to get that information out. Our first few times reading it, we're looking for the information that's given to us in the problem and the information that's asked for in the problem. In this case, when we read the problem again, it says find the speed of each jet. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. There's 2 jets. They start at Chicago. They travel in opposite directions. The speed of the first jet is 10 less than 2 times the speed of the second jet. So I see that the first jet speed is given in terms of the second jet speed. So let's start by saying this. Let x equal the speed of the second jet. Then the first jet's speed is 10 less than 2 times the speed of the second jet. Okay, so 10 less than 2 times that. Okay, there's 2 times that. Minus 10 equals the speed of, let's just say, jet 2. Okay, so I have the speed of the second jet. That's x. The speed of the first jet. Whoops. So I'll say jet 1 for the speed of the first jet. 2x minus 10. Now, a problem like this where we're going to look for distance, rate, and time, it's going to help us if we make a little table. So let's do that. I'm going to make a table here. And in the table, I'm going to have 2 rows, one for jet 1 and the other for jet 2. And then for my columns, I want the rate or speed of each one, the time each one travels, and then the distance. Okay, so the way I have this set up, x is the speed or rate of jet number 2. So that's x. The rate for jet number 1 is 2x minus 10. Now I want to say, well, how long have they been traveling? Well, according to the problem, in 3 hours they are 1,050 miles apart, so they take off at the same time. They travel for 3 hours, so the amount of time that's gone by for each jet is 3. So I'm going to write that in here, 3 hours for each one. Now, to fill in this column right here for distance, I use the fact that distance is equal to rate times time. So if I multiply these two expressions together, I'll get the distance that jet 1 traveled, and if I multiply these two together, I'll get the distance that jet 2 traveled. So jet 2 traveled a total distance of 3x, and jet 1 traveled a total distance of 3 times 2x minus 10. Well, they end up after 3 hours 1,050 miles apart, and so that's going to be the distance that the first jet traveled plus the distance that the second jet traveled. That gives us our equation that describes the situation. So 3 times 2x minus 10, that's the distance that jet 1 traveled, plus 3x, that's the distance that jet 2 traveled, has to come out to be 1,050. The total distance traveled by both jets together, which is the distance that they are apart. Okay, I'll solve this equation here by multiplying this 3 times both of the expressions inside the parentheses. I'll get 6x minus 30 plus 3x is equal to 1,050. 6x plus 3x is 9x. And then I'll add 30 to both sides and get 1,080. And then I'll divide both sides by 9, and x turns out to be 120. So now I have to ask myself, okay, what does x represent in this problem? X is the speed of jet number 2. So jet number 2 is traveling at an average speed of 120 miles an hour. Jet number 1 speed will be 10 less than twice that. So jet 2 has a speed of 120 miles per hour, and jet 1 has a speed of 2 times 120 minus 10. That's going to be 240 minus 10, which will be 230 miles per hour. So the one jet has an average speed of 120 miles per hour. The other jet has an average speed of 230 miles per hour. So if they leave Chicago at the same time, travel in opposite directions for 3 hours, they'll be exactly 1,050 miles apart. So when we do these distance, rate, and time problems, somewhere along the line we're going to use the fact that distance is equal to rate times time. I like to use a little table like this to kind of organize my thoughts with the problem. I look for what's asked for in the problem. That's going to help me decide what x is equal to. In this case, I'm looking for the speed of each jet. So I'll let x equals be the speed of one of the jets, and then I'll get the speed of the other jet in terms of that. Then I'll use my distance, rate, and time formula, distance is rate times time, to multiply and get the distance each traveled, read the problem again, see the total distance they are apart is 1,050 miles. Well, that comes from the distance that the first jet traveled plus the distance the second jet traveled. After that, it's simply a matter of solving that equation and then remembering when I get x equal 20 that I'm solving a word problem, so I have to go back and write what that 120 means in terms of the original words of the problem. In this case, it's 120 miles per hour.